Casper and Dennis here for Submission Rated, proudly brought to you by Musashi, with the man that takes on Iaquinta this week in UFC 243, Dan the Hangman Hooker. Little known fact about you, Dan. A few years ago, there was a show in Melbourne here. You were on it. Rob Whittaker was also on it. You did your own open workout in Federation Square. The UFC didn't organize one. You did your own one on Facebook Live. What was it like yesterday to have the real thing, the official thing, with all the crowd cheering you on?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, to see the difference. I think because the UFC weren't putting on an open workout, and I was...
disgraceful to not have you doing an open workout years ago.
I was not happy about that, so I just advertised it on Facebook, and a bunch of people came down. I just handed out T-shirts and put on a little open workout, hit some pads for the supporters that made it out, so it was something for the fans, something for the people.
You've been on a tear since moving up to lightweight. Back then, you were fighting at featherweight. Seeing yourself co-main eventing this show, what does that mean for you? And does this kind of show you just how far you've come since those early, non-open workout days?
Yeah, pretty big development, and I can put it down to, training with Eugene, training with City Kickboxing, making the move up to lightweight. Yeah, it wasn't just the weight, I wasn't training with City Kickboxing at the time, full time. I'd worked with Eugene, but it wasn't really consistent, so I made the move back to New Zealand, worked with Eugene full time, and proof's in the pudding, man.
Eugene brought up this sort of mentality leading into the Israel fight, where they're going in with Rob, they want to get in there, they want to take that title and bring it back home to New Zealand, to City Kickboxing.
Raid the country.
Raid it.
He's got him fired up.
Well, hold on a second, because I'm about to do the same to you. Are you going in with the same mentality here, like City Kickboxing's raiding Marvel Stadium on Sunday morning, all the boys are getting their wins, and then you're taking all of that sort of glory back with you to New Zealand, to City Kickboxing? Is that the mentality? Because you guys have a huge team here.
Yeah, I'm going to raid it, and then I'm going to stay for a bit there. My wife's Australian, so I got to... I can't say I'm going to run straight back. I'm going to go spend some time with her family for a couple of weeks here in Australia before I head back to New Zealand. So it's going to be a slow raid, a prolonged raid.
It's a prolonged invasion, invading and then just hanging out, walking around the hood here with your shirt off, basically. It's all yours. I was going to say, were you surprised that Al took this fight? Because for him, it's kind of a risky one, right? He's obviously quite high in the rankings. Were you surprised he took the fight? And what do you think this kind of gets you a big win over him?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised necessarily that he took the fight. I was pretty surprised how quickly he accepted the challenge to have it all get put together. But it kind of just shows the kind of fights that he wants to get. He obviously sees an exciting matchup in me. 3 of my last 4 have been all first round knockouts. So he sees the potential for an exciting fight, whereas I think a lot of other guys in the division who maybe come for a stale win, or they're happy to get just grind out a pretty lackluster win. He doesn't really want to get in there and exchange with those guys. So he'd rather put on an exciting fight with a lower ranked fighter. So I can definitely respect that.
Do you feel like this is going to be another case of, you go in there and get a quick finish, or are you kind of anticipating, because Al's a really durable guy and you're a really durable guy, that this might be, a pretty big war, maybe even a fight of the night?
Oh, I'm prepared for either, man. Whether I prepare for the worst case scenario, which is the 3-round war, but I think it's going to be a fast start. I think he'll come out pretty hot. He's a smart guy. If he'll start fast. That's what I would do.
It's interesting because you said worst case scenario, it's a 3-round war, right? That's not what you want. I think there's almost a misconception about you that Dan Hooker's so tough, he goes down there, he has these crazy wars, but in your mind, you would rather sort of go in there, it's almost flawless, you get the quick finish over anyone, right?
That's what you're chasing, right? You're chasing like the perfect performance, you're chasing, and I just don't feel like I've had that, and you don't, even like a quick finish, I don't enjoy it that much, as opposed to like some of Israel's fights where he's managed to really display his skills and really break a guy down that's impressive to watch, and that's like a really enjoyable fight to go back and look on and observe. So I've had the quick knockouts, I've had the big knockouts. Maybe I'm looking for perfect performance.
I'm wondering, you've mentioned in previous interviews that this is kind of going to be the fight that gets the division talking, because you've had some big wins in the division. You've been fighting for the UFC for quite some time. Do you feel like the other contenders in the lightweight division haven't really acknowledged what the work that you've done in the division? This is going to be sort of the fight that puts them on Dan Hooker notice this Sunday?
I think just because the division's so stacked and so exciting, Tony's on a 12-fight run and still with no title shot. Like, that's pretty incredible. There are some other guys in there. Gage's on a good win streak. Like, there's some big win streaks in the division. There's some undefeated guys. I feel like it's just this how busy it is. So you just have to do more to get any attention. But I feel like this. A finish over Iaquinta especially, that gives me a shot at a top 5 opponent. That's what I feel.
Is that because the other guys weren't able to finish him? Guys like Cerrone, guys like Khaib. Is that kind of one of the things that would separate you?
Yeah, definitely. That definitely makes you stand out. If the champ goes 5 rounds with someone, a guy like Cowboy, top 5 fighter, goes 5 rounds with him, and then you finish him in 3 rounds, that sends a pretty strong message to the division.
Speaking of Cowboy, we've spoken about this fight a number of times now, but it looks like it's closer than ever happening if this goes to plan on Sunday. Would that fight with Cowboy be something that you'd be possibly aiming for next as a big sort of show in New Zealand, possibly in 2020? Dan Hooker versus Cowboy Cerrone just has a ring to it, especially for the Kiwis.
I got something for you, boys. I got something for you, but you're going to have to wait and see.
So there might be a little bit of a post-fight call-out.
You're not calling out John Anik, are you?
I might have to.
Paul Felder's not here.
I'll leave John alone. Paul Felder. Why would I call out the number 7 when I've just beat the number 6?
Oh, that's a good point.
Doesn't really make sense, does it, lads?
I feel like as we wrap up, we just want to get a really quick prediction from you. People are super excited. It's going to be like a Sunday afternoon in a stadium. Things couldn't get a bit weirder, but at the same time, glorious for you and the team going into the UFC 243. What's the prediction? How do you sort of see this one going?
Any means necessary. I plan on getting them out of there. I plan on getting a finish, whether it be submission, whether it be knockout. I'm going for either, man. I'm not picky when it comes to finishes.
And just quickly, the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker. How do you see that happening? Obviously, you're not picking Robert Whittaker here. Israel's a teammate, but how do you see it happening?
I'm backing Israel 100%.
Yep.
I feel like he's just. I feel like it's a good fight for him. I feel like it's going to be a tough matchup. But, backing my teammate.
He's going to be raiding Melbourne, Australia, then putting on in disguise, spending some time down here with his family after he gets the big win this Sunday. Dan Hooker, best of luck. Watch out for that guy, the hangman himself. Thank you so much for your time, man.